Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Star Citizen Alpha 4.2 features have been revealed. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Cannot do this without you guys, so thank you so much for the support. It is truly appreciated. So with the most recent roadmap update, Cloud Imperium have finally revealed many of the features and content slated to release for Star Citizen 4.2, which is coming at the end of June. Now do bear in mind that this will not be everything that comes in this patch. A few features are intentionally redacted to be a surprise, others will probably make their way in as the patch progresses through testing, plus Cloud Imperium will certainly want to keep many as a complete surprise. That said, these are not confirmed to be coming in 4.2, only expected at this time. Things can change, and any of these can get pulled even at last minute if Cloud Imperium deem it necessary. But as this year is panning out, we have really only seen new stuff come in rather than stuff getting pulled out. So hopefully everything we see here in this list will make it in for 4.2 and much more. With that out of the way, let us check out what is currently expected to release in Star Citizen 4.2 at the end of next month. So the first card to kick it off with is titled New Creatures. Now notice it is plural, not singular, and the description reads, adding multiple new creatures to the verse. Now this has got me very excited. I do wonder what creatures we will see come in for 4.2 from this list of fauna expected to come first. This could just be referring to creatures like the adult and apex Valakar and nothing else, but hopefully we will see other creatures including things like the Stormwalls of Crusader, the Boreal Stalker or Microtech Yeti, and this Pyro Whip Crab. We could also see variants of creatures that we already have, especially now we have radioactive variants, but at the least, I suspect it's going to be both large Valakar types, being the adult and apex, and their radioactive versions, but hopefully quite a few more. Next we have 4 new hairstyles that are coming in 4.2. Nothing too exciting to mention, but as always, more character customization options the better. We also have radiation coming in with 4.2, which says implementing dangerous radiation zones in specific locations, forcing players to adapt with specialized gear and strategic navigation. Now this is going to be a pretty cool addition that should open up a good set of new parameters, both open world and for missions. Firstly, for the on-foot side of things, having this new suit that we will talk about soon that is designed to protect its wearer from radiation will be important, and this will be a requirement to safely enter the area for, I suppose, extended periods of time or even just for a brief time. Not to say that you won't be able to go into the radiation zones without one, but of course your character will suffer radiation sickness and likely eventually death. For ships though, this could be one addition that encourages players to have to land and approach on foot or in a ground vehicle if radiation can impact ships and their components in any way, which it could do, but I don't know if it will. Plus, as it says, strategic navigation, I assume this means avoiding areas of higher radiation and planning your route accordingly. Now this is going to be quite the new addition, especially if radiation storms are coming with 4.2, which I'm not too sure just yet. But either way, this new status or damage type will help to expand things further. Now the next 2 pieces of content are new locations. The first one being ASD, or Associated Science and Development, which is a company research facility. Now these are to be located on Pyro 1 and will provide essential infrastructure and sandbox gameplay opportunities for planetary operations, it says. Now these sound like they are right up my street, as a fan of games like Resident Evil and Dino Crisis even, or movies like The Thing and Alien. I love the idea of having these kind of scientific research facilities for locations, and these will be locations for missions to send players to, but also, as we have seen with every other location coming into the game, areas and points of interest for sandbox gameplay. So going to these locations, exploring them or breaking in for whatever reason, for looting and so forth. Now we don't know much about them aside from their research involving irradiated Valakar and their eggs, but regardless, I cannot wait to see and explore these spots, especially with storms and dynamic weather. Ooh, it's going to be good. Now the next new location associated with these are ASD data centers. So again, part of the same company, but these are found on Pyro 4, and to provide infrastructure for missions and sandbox gameplay. So likely a location to support the research facilities. Could also be a good option for when data running comes along. They kind of remind me of those Microtech data centers that we saw at CitizenCon in, I think it was 2018, where they had to get a lab coat and kind of break in and steal data. We do know those door scanners will require you to wear certain items like a lab coat, plus a lab coat is coming in for 4.2. So it's essentially taking what we saw in that CitizenCon demo and making it a reality, but instead of it being a Microtech, it's going to be in Pyro. Now the next feature on 4.2's list is called Sandbox Activity. And this is a new activity, it says, utilizing new gameplay mechanics and vehicles to tell new stories in the verse. Now I have no idea what this is. I suspect it'll be to do with these facilities, the Valakar, but whether this is referring to that, I don't know. The more open-ended and sandbox opportunities we get, the better though, as the verse is already growing so much to the point that it's hard to keep up with all the new stuff. There is so much that I haven't checked out. There are still moons that I haven't explored in Pyro, let alone other points of interest and gameplay. Now next we have the Argo Atlas IK, and this is the combat version of the Argo Atlas, and it sounds like it's a version that Wakullo can make for you provided you bring him the gear that he needs. Now I do hope that the gear he wants from you will make sense to the actual Atlas, so, you know, bringing him a Geo or a base track to Atlas, to, I suppose, Klaus and Werner weapons and whatever else would make sense to making these, rather than just random things. But either way, it'll be so cool to have these available, these combat mechs. And for those getting confused, this is not replacing the Virgil Titan suit. That is a completely different militarized combat mech, specifically built for the military, created by Virgil, and it will likely be revealed after Squadron or sometime on the rollout to Squadron. This Atlas IK TI is a pretty much bodged together by the Banu Chop Shop Combat Atlas, and I cannot wait to destroy places like the Hathor locations in one of these, or actually taking many players with these and just annihilating everyone there. It'd be so much fun. Now, sticking with Wakullo, the next feature is called Wakullo Special Ships. Now, this new edition says adding multiple new ships and vehicles to the ever-expanding Wakullo Emporium, and these can be unlocked by bringing the number of favors in exchange for rewards. So just continuing to keep Wakullo's Emporium up to date with new things for players to earn, which I am very happy to see, rather than what they have done in the past in some cases where they bring something new in and then it just remains untouched for the rest of time. Having Wakullo's stuff consistently updated is definitely a good thing. Now next up we have Vault's latest addition to their FPS weapon lineup, being the Prism laser shotgun. So from 4.2 onwards with the release of this one, we'll have the Parallax assault rifle, the Quartz submachine gun, and this Prism shotgun. And this weapon says adding a cutting-edge energy shotgun that ramps up its pellet spread with heat, delivering brutal close-range bursts powered by Vault. So again, managing that heat to get the best out of it and provide the most damage. Now, the next new addition is called the Sterling Exploration Suit, and this is a heavy utility armor built to withstand extreme radiation, enabling safe travel through the most hazardous zones. Now, firstly, this will be obviously the new radiation-specific suit players will need to go safely to these new locations with radiation around and radiation storms. But I suspect as Starware starts to make its way in, whenever that will happen properly, we will see more stats and specs get exposed for this outfit, along with many other exploration suits for different use cases with trade-offs. And of course, when exploration as a profession finally starts rolling out, these types of suits will be ideal depending on where you're going, so you will want to collect them based on either the mission you're doing or whatever sandbox gameplay you want to take part in. Now, personally, I'm happy to see more of these non-combat specific outfits make their way in, and I can just imagine trudging around one of these new ASD facilities while a storm is raging on, avoiding creatures and the Valakar popping up, and hopefully one day Star Citizen's own style of xenomorph. That would be Very cool. Now, the next feature is definitely one of my favorites. It is called Dynamic Rain, and it says, adding dynamic rain in specific locations as a first step towards Genesis dynamic weather. Now, of course, weather being a part of 4.2 is one of my all-time favorite additions, and as it states here, it might just be rain. However, we have seen lightning in the Evocati builds already, so chances are lightning is coming. Now, whether the radiation storms are coming for 4.2 or not is yet to be confirmed. They could be one of these redacted features yet to be revealed, or they could possibly come later on. But getting rain in will blow my mind, and I feel that with these irradiated creatures also making their way in, not necessarily for 4.2, but somewhere close, I wouldn't be surprised if radiation storms are something that comes along, or radioactive storms are something that comes along as well. Now, the final 3 features are all slated for a 4.2.x patch. So confirming the next patch after 4.2 will be a point patch. Likelihood is, with 4.2 being a major release, we will see a 4.2.1 patch come quite quickly after the patch releases to target any bugs that cannot be hotfixed, while a 4.2.2 or 3 patch being used to bring in more content, potentially around the end of July or in August. Now, these new global events say it is a cross-shard event that builds on collaboration and competition, so pushing the tech a bit further to have a lot more nuances to it and having it impacted by what everyone is doing on every shard. No idea what it'll involve, but it does sound intriguing. Next, we have new space combat missions, Defend, and these are a collection of missions tasking citizens to defend various places against attackers. Again, it could involve many different things, so we will wait to see what Cloud Imperium say. But the final one is new medium utility armor. Now, just as I said with the exploration suit, this medium utility armor will be leaning more towards the industrial and support side of things rather than combat. Now, it could be used to support combat, but it will certainly be beneficial in whatever it's intended for, but with trade-offs in other areas like damage mitigation, for example. And again, seeing more and more of these specific armors and outfits is going to be so cool, as we will be building a collection of armors and clothing for the areas of the game that we love the most, swapping them out for whatever job we are doing. So hopefully we can get armor lockers implemented and working as soon as possible to support all the Starware changes when they roll out. But there you go, that is the latest roadmap update with 4.2's new features. There are also updates to the progress tracker, which I will likely address in an upcoming video, but 4.2 as it looks today is going to be one heck of a major patch. With so many very important features, new additions, and content coming along that will continue to help transform Star Citizen's PU into feeling much less like an alpha and more that of a finished product. Of course, there will still be bugs, there will still be optimizations needed and so on, but overall, seeing this stuff come along is very exciting, and man, 4.2, I can't believe we're, a month away almost. Anyway, with that said, if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, if you enjoy anything to do with camping, I do have a second YouTube channel dedicated to camping, just camping. It is linked below should you want to check that out. Also, come and follow me over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrother, or watch me here live on YouTube as well. I think we'll be doing some group off-grid gameplay heading through to Pyro, but we do have a big org mining event coming along with the Idris at some point that I'd like to stream, so keep an eye out for that one too. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Cannot do this without you guys, so thank you for the support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.